Hi all. Right, I've got two cards left in my hand, so it'll be an Allied Impulse next. There's a few things cropped up. Now I've recorded the whole part 3, so whether we'll get any more comments on. No, I think the only sort of mistake I made was in the part I can make a comment on. Anyway, there's 4 things on my mind, right? A couple that have been posted as comments on the from the YouTube videos, so you might have seen them already. One where I made a mistake. Now John Brown came back again, pointing me out to the right place. 2.21, right at the beginning of the book, the very last paragraph of 2.21, which is all talking about the units and the core and etc. It says, in the event that you must select from units with the same selector number, possible if units are in a different core, which I've had a couple of times and came up recently, select the unit in the lower numbered core. Now, I thought I had seen this somewhere, but maybe it was a errata that drew me to that. And it says, note that a unit selector number changes as it loses steps. So it's in the rule book there that if you get a tiebreaker between two units of the same selector number, then you look for the lowest core. So thanks for that, John. Now what were the other? There was 3 other things on my mind. I should have wrote them down. Yes, I think this is one that I might get comments on from the previous part that I've uploaded. I've uploaded it now, so I've not put any comments. I could add it to the front of the YouTube video, but I don't think it's not relevant as such. It's regarding the fuel marker. So we got this. I can't remember exactly when we got it. I think it was quite recently that they grabbed the fuel marker. Well, it's not just a case that you get that fuel marker and use it when you want, like it was with the German Soul, and that's what I've done. I just took it and laid it aside. But there's an instruction for what you've got to do with it. Well, I don't want to go into all this about the no fuel situation. It works slightly different for the Germans and the Allies. So just talk about the fuel depot markers, the one that we've just drawn. When a German unit enters a hex with a fuel depot, remove the marker from the map and place it on the earliest date on the calendar without a fuel marker and after the current date. So pretty sure it was within the 17th. So that is kind of irrelevant anyway, because the next part says not earlier than December the 20th. Once placed in the calendar, the fuel depot remains there for the rest of the game. To just cut it short, not go into it too much, wherever you put this, the Germans will not have any issues with fuel on that day that the marker's placed on. So it's going to be placed on the first day that's available, which is going to be the 20th. So hang on, I'll find that. 17, 18. Right, so I've plonked it in there. So when we first reach the 20th, they're not going to have fuel issues at all. Now, if they manage to get one of the other markers, at the moment it would go into the 21st. There's also ways no, I think it would then move. Look, I'm not going to go deep into it. That's what I forgot to do anyway. Put the marker on the. So once we get to the 20th and when fuel starts having an effect, then it's probably best to leave it till then to talk about it, because it's not relevant until then. Okay, the other 2 I wanted to bring up were mistakes. One that you've seen and it was brought up in the comments, and one that's not been seen yet. Well, I've recorded that, but I'll make a comment on it. I'm going to fix it here. So yeah, first one, both Martin and John pulled me up about it, and yes, they were spot on, although Martin's math was slightly off. I'm pretty sure he's not come back and said anything else anyway, but Uh, it was the attack on Bojan to get the fuel marker. It's difficult to show it here. Things have moved about quite a bit. Let's see if I can get the. No, that's not what I wanted. What was it? That, yes. Where was the attack? It wasn't on Bojan. It was the hex just in front of it. So it was in here. Well, what happened? We ended up with D4 and A2, so 4 hits to us. I had an IP. Is that right? Yeah, I had an IP, so that reduced it to 3, and I was a 2-step unit. So I retreated once. I'll make sure I've got this right. Hang on. Yeah, that was it. So it was 4 hits to us. We took 1 off the IP. We had 2 steps left. We retreated once into Bojan, but unfortunately it was still in German zone of control. So the retreat took 1 hit away, but we also got a hit. So we're down to 1 step with 2 hits remaining. So normally you think it'd be okay because you can retreat. Well, no, I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to be destroyed. I'm going to be eliminated. But I can still retreat once, taking the hits down to 1, and then take the last as a step loss. And I think that's what went through my head. And well, I actually said this, and I'm not sure if I would have got this one or not. You know what? I might have done. But we're talking about Rule 12.54, German attacker hit reduction. The number of hits incurred by the Germans in a German attack is reduced if all the Allied units defending in the combat are eliminated and Allied hits remain unfulfilled. The number of German hits is reduced by the number of unfulfilled Allied hits. Assume the Allied units retreated before losing steps if possible. So you could say, well, there was no hits remaining because you had 4 hits to take, 1 come off of the IP, 1 retreated you once, knocking you down to 1 step, 1 retreated you twice, and then the third one was a step, so that soaks up all the hits. And that's kind of what I was thinking, but I didn't have that rule in my mind, so I have to be honest there. So I have to be honest and say that if I knew there was 1 hit left over, I'm not so sure I would have remembered it. It's a tricky one to remember that. What actually happened was, when Martin brought it up, I had to look back over the video and I said, well, no, there's no hits. He missed his math by 1. He was trying to say that it was 2 hits over. But to me, and John, he agreed as well that there was only 1 hit left over. But I didn't think there was any hits left over because I thought I was able to retreat. But the last retreat would have been into, I had 2 hexes to retreat into and they were both fully stacked. So I couldn't retreat there. So I had to sit in the hex that I was in and take a step loss. And that's not what I thought had happened. So that then left 1 hit unfulfilled. Like I say, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have caught it. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have. But it didn't help the fact that I was still considering, right, we're getting to retreat, we're getting to eliminate the unit, blah, blah, blah. So the Germans had 2 hits to take, but they had also played assault coordination. So that reduced it to 1 hit. And then the 1 hit that was unfulfilled on the Allied unit should have been taken as the other hit. So the effect was, I've checked the unit, it's this 27 unit from 12 VG. Now he has moved in the impulse, but I don't think he just made a move. I don't think anything else was involved. He made an infantry move. Should I go and check that? Okay, yeah, just double check the situation. This is where this unit actually was attacking from. and there was other units advance. 2 units had already advanced into there. He would have been next to check. I didn't check him because he was bracketed, but so I would have had to check him, but there was 2 units already had advanced, so he wouldn't have moved. Fortunately, he would have still been in the same position. So that's me putting back to full strength, and yeah, it's a hard one to remember that. There's always 2 or 3 rules that are kind of tricky to remember, and are there to catch you out. Well, they're not meant to be. They're important rules that have a reason. But like I say, I'd like to think I would have remembered that if I'd thought I wasn't going back into overstacked hexes. But as I said, I'm replying my comment. I'd probably be lying with that one. Okay, and the last one was more recent, which I say you won't have. Well, you will have seen if you're watching this, but I can make a comment on it. This was just the activation of the last card we had, which we activated the 1st SS and the 12th SS divisions of 1st SS. And we struggled about a bit to find the moves for them. You remember we couldn't move this because it was going to leave this Allied town, this German town, Allied supply traceable to it if we moved that unit out. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it is, if that unit's not there, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can trace Allied supply. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we can't move an Allied unit into that town, so. But that's, all it says is, if Allied supply can be traced to it, then don't move the unit out. Well, I watched back in the video today, and the other thing I missed now, was it unit 4? Yeah, it was the big guy. He was in here, and we came back and rewound a wee bit to bring him, because we realised that we could move him via method 2, which, yeah, it was right. Well, would have been right, but sorry, I'm gonna say, yeah, it would have been right. I don't think we didn't catch it first time round because he was already adjacent to a VP hex, and I thought, well, we can't. But the 2 things that one of the things that brought it to mind, I suppose, was the restriction that says do not move a unit starting adjacent to VP hex occupied by an Allied unit with strength 5 or less, unless moving to another hex adjacent to the same VP hex. So I'm thinking, well, okay, so you must be able to do that. And if you look at closer to objective and next to VP hex, movement method 2, it does only say move to a hex both closer to unit's army objective and adjacent to an Allied VP. So it doesn't really say you shouldn't move if you're already adjacent or anything like that. So moving in 1, 2, 3, 4 into there seemed like it was the right thing to do. But one of the restrictions, another one of the restrictions is do not move a unit if doing so will cause a currently surrounded Allied unit to become no longer surrounded. And I checked it as I was watching it that at the moment this Allied unit here is surrounded. This has got a zone of control into here, zone of control, and this one, zone of controls this hex. But if we move this guy into here, he's got an out now. He's got a hex, so he's not surrounded anymore. So that means he should have stayed where he was, I believe. Well, let's just double check that one, Grant. I think so. So couldn't move via arrows. We moved on to method 10. In fact, yeah, we were looking at him to move closer to army objective, that's right. And that's when we seen that by doing that we could have done what we've done. Well, if he moves closer to his army objective, again he's going to leave this guy unsurrounded. So he's not going to do that. Infiltrate, we already infiltrated, but hold on. Did we? Right, give me a sec. Well, you know what, I don't need to look at that. I think there was an infiltration made. But if it was him to infiltrate, he could only infiltrate into this hex. And he could move into that hex. So that's going to break the zone, because he can't infiltrate into the forest. So I'm gonna assume that we'll go right to movement method 13, move adjacent to allied unit if not already adjacent. So he's already adjacent. So rather than go back and look for that infiltrate, it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, because he wouldn't have infiltrated, or he would have been breaking the same rules. Yeah, okay. So these units also then checked for an attack. They failed that check, but I had a look at everything, and there was no difference to the check. It came up, they were 2-1, or was it 1.5 to 1 maybe, and I think it was a high roll, so it was okay. So, okay, that was the last one, I think. Right, but I'll put a wee comment. I can put a wee comment on that one, but the other ones you might, well, the fuel marker, somebody might come and comment on that, but yeah, it's not that big deal at the moment, as long as we put it to use when it comes the 20th. Okay, I'll move the camera a bit and see if we can have a wee Allied impulse and maybe a German one before I head off to bed. Okay, so Allied impulse, but I'm really contemplating a pass here. These are the two cards. Well, I'll lay them down. These are the two cards we've got left. And I was thinking, well, I'm definitely want to get this guy down into Bastogne, so why not just use this card to do it, and then wait and see what the Germans do. But they've got, did I say 9 cards left? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they've got 9 cards left in the draw pile. So I still think, I mean, Bastogne's not threatened yet. So maybe just pass this time, just to see what else they're going to do, just in case it changes my thoughts, you know. So I think I'm going to do that. Just double check how that works. I think I just pass and that's it. But yeah, if I pass, it just ends my impulse. I mean, I suppose the only worry could be that he plays another Commandos event, or, you know, makes me discard cards, which would be rather annoying. But I think I'll take a chance with this and I'll pass. So we're going to go into a German impulse. Okay, here we go. Oh dear. Okay. Oh, no primary card. Yeah, I think we kind of would have preferred that to be in a primary, so it's going to be the 5th Panzer Army card. Oh goody. Specialise in her hesitates. That's going to be, well, that'll only apply if he doesn't use that as a combat tactic. And it's artillery. Oh no, because this is going to let every attack have artillery, so we're not going to use that because it's going to be a duplicate. So it does look like we're going to have Eisenhower hesitates. That's going to delay my... Oh no, that's not good, is it? I think it delays some of the units. If I remember using it as the... Well, using it as the Germans, yeah. Okay, so that's the order of the cards. This is going to be the command card. Right, I'll bring it out, we'll have a look. Yeah, just as a reminder there, that's not an event, it's a special. It's an event, but it's a special event, and they don't trigger from the support card. It's just got to be a normal event. Okay, so 5th Panzer Army, activate 5th Panzer Army unit with most non-bracketed 5th Panzer Army units within 2 hexes and all those units. So I've done this before with the 6th Panzer Army, so, and then it gets to use artillery in any of the attacks that are involved. So yeah, I fear for this guy, and I don't know what else is going to happen. So yeah, well, I was going to say maybe just as well we didn't use it, but I don't know. We do have in fact, both my combat tactics are reinforced battle. I'm just wondering about up here if they do go for the unit in Vale Sam. As long as they don't put a unit in there, they're going to, aren't they? I was going to say then I could reinforce the battle, but yeah. Okay, let's find out who's all activating first. Okay, I think this guy's the winner. He's got 11, and again I'm just encoding the unit in the hex. I don't think I've done that originally, but it's irrelevant as long as you're doing it the same for each one. This one got 10 units, this one got 10 units, but this gets 11. This one got 9, I think, or 8 maybe. This one gets 11. So I'm going to count it as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And like I say, this one's got 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's only one in that. So that one's a winner there. So it would activate all units, but it's not going to catch anything else. So it does look like, well, mind you, maybe some of them will go up, but these units up here aren't going to be these 2 units aren't going to be active. So okay, so we've found the centre of our activation. So it's all units within 2 hexes of that are going to activate. So no roadblocks. This is his army objective. So nothing proximate and nothing within 2. So it's going to stay where it is. What am I doing here? Yeah. So right. So we're going to try and move these units now with the movement method. So I'm going to have a look, see what I come up with. Okay. Kind of crazy start here, but let's have a look if it's right. Movement method 2. Closer to objective and next to VP hex. So I'll move to a hex both closer to units, army objective and adjacent to ally VP hex. So this is selector number 2. I mean, I know there's a selector number 2 there. He's not active actually, but we've got 2 different cores here, so we've got to watch. But he is the lowest selector number that's active. Well, because this guy's dispersed, he can actually go, right, he's 1, 2, 3, 4 away from his army objective. But look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you move into that hex there, adjacent to this VP hex, and only 1, 2, 3 away from his army objective. So yeah, that's getting him closer to his army. I'm just looking up there at St. Vith as well, but obviously that's going to be further from his army objective, but that one is going to be closer to it by 1 hex. And I don't think he's breaking any restrictions there. I mean, there's another unit still in there. I mean, to be honest, he might do the same. So my thinking is that's what's going to happen. 1, because this guy doesn't zone of control. Okay, so 1, 2, detachment in there, 3, 4. Yeah, he's got to stay in the road. He's not got any other options. So let's leave in 1 detachment. Where is it there? Yeah. And then unit selector number 3. Actually, would this be next? Because we've got 2 3s here. And this one's active as well. Remember, it's everything within 2 of that. So what we've got the 58 core or the... oh no, they're the 47th core. So that's going to be the lowest core. So it is going to be this guy. So, well, going by that, I think he's going to do the same thing. Something feels a bit weird, but I've been saying that quite a lot recently, haven't I? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, that's closer to his army objective by 1 hex and adjacent to an allied VP hex. Okay. Okay, but we're not done yet. Still looking at movement method 2 and selector number 3 from the 58 core that we looked at. I don't think he was able to do it, but he can go 1. Obviously this is fully stacked now and nothing's going to move out of it. If he goes round here, he's going to be further away. It means 1, 2, oh. Yeah, no, he needs to be able to get to that hex, which he can. Hang on, I'm looking at this guy. 1, 2, 3. If he's there, 1, 2, yeah. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that shuts off my chance of that reinforced battle, which when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, we're not going to get to do that. So again, he's moved 1 hex closer to his army objective and adjacent to a VP hex. Yeah, okay, still on movement method 2, and I've looked through all the rest here, but none of these units can make it. Some of them could get adjacent to St. Vith, but it's not closer to their army objective as well. So on to unit 24 here, and you can do the same as the 116 Panzer unit by going 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 into there. And again, he was in the same hex, wasn't he? He was 1, 2, 3 away, and now he's only 2 away. So, I think that's probably going to be it for that method. Well, that was unit selector number 26. So yeah, it must be. I must have looked at all the rest of them. Oh, wait a minute. Well, to be honest, this guy down the bottom is quite a high. Oh no, he's not. He's 10. But none of them can get adjacent to VP. I mean, they might have benefited for getting St. Vith, but they're just short. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. They're just 1 short, which might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it would have been. If they could have got to there, it would have been closer to their army objective too. However, it wasn't. Right, move on, Grant. So next movement method would be cause surround. Let me have a look. Okay, I couldn't see anything we could surround. So I've moved on to the infantry moves, methods 5 to 9, and movement method 5 is move adjacent to an allied VP hex. Move active infantry units, each to a hex adjacent to an allied VP hex. And it says a unit starting adjacent, blah blah blah, but so we've got 3 infantry units here. This is selector 4, 13 and 14. What are we doing? We're moving up the way, yeah. So he can actually move 1, 2, 3 and get adjacent to this. That's the only hex he can, because that's fully stacked and he can't reach there. So he could get to there, but he could also go to St. Vith as well. He's got 1, 2, 3. He could go to these 2 hexes, or well, potentially this one as well. So we need some tiebreakers. But that's what it says. Move active infantry units. It talks about a unit starting adjacent to an allied VPX, but we've not got that. So as long as it's not breaking restrictions. Surrounded town city. Yeah, I don't think so. So we're looking for tiebreakers. Here's the thing though, I'm going to look at tactical adjustment. This is what throws me a bit. Because I'm needing a tiebreaker just now to find out which, yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think I am doing this in the wrong order, haven't I? I mean, the way they're written in the book, 9.22 comes before 9.24, but yeah, because this is one that, I mean, whether it's mattered before because we're moving adjacent, I mean, this time we're moving adjacent to an allied unit, but we've got two possible allied units. So we need to find a tiebreaker first before we then set out the tactical adjustments. So I dare say you could be looking at, yeah, I think you do need to make the tiebreakers first, don't you? I hope that's not messed things about. As I did, I think, maybe this is a video that I've just uploaded just now. I was asking you guys to tell me if I'm doing it in the right order. And the way this situation looks like, it looks like I wasn't doing it in the right order, but whether that made a difference before. Okay, so the tiebreakers are, if more than one destination hex, well, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 destination hexes that unit could accomplish its movement method 5. So it wants to move to the hex closest to the unit's army objective marker, so which is here, so it's going to be that one then, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that would be that hex. And I think then you would consider tactical adjustments. I knew this was something that bothered me in the game before. These two, 9.22 and 9.24. There was a couple of questions I think I asked about it as well, because it felt like, I mean, yeah, I suppose you've got to look at the tiebreakers first, and then if there's then choices with adjustments. Actually, I do think I've asked this question, and I think Martin answered it. Hang on. Okay, I think I might have this. I did look back over my question, and it's helped me. Martin did answer the question. It was, well, maybe it wasn't quite related to what we're talking about, but what he brought to my attention was that 9.24, it says, in the first bullet is, prefer an unoccupied adjacent hex. If a unit would end its move in a hex occupied by a German unit and adjacent to an allied unit, check to see if the unit could reach an occupied hex adjacent to the same allied unit. If so, move. And it's this same allied unit bit that I think is triggering me to think that, first of all, we go through our tiebreakers, we find out which unit we're going for. So I don't think I've done this before, so I hope it's not messed anything up. I'm going to have to go back and have a look because that's bothering me. So I'm pretty sure we find out our tiebreakers first. So the tiebreakers would be that, like out of these three, what was it, 4 choice? Well, I'm not going to put that 3 cubes there, right? This was the one that was closest. So then you look at tactical adjustments, and if that could be altered in a way that but what if that then took the unit further away from its army objective? You know, what if this hex was occupied, right, and let's just say he could reach this hex, and it was then going to be further from his army objective? I'm getting myself. I'm going to maybe overthinking on this. Okay, guys, been on pause for quite a while, so there's something I'm just not getting about this. I posted a question just to try and find out what order 9.22 and 9.24 is there. I feel like they clash a little bit, and I'm not sure if I should be looking at one before the other, or I've had bother with this before, and I've talked about it a little bit. I think in maybe the last video I was trying to say, maybe somebody can let me know if I'm doing it out of that order, but this situation here, it could be it's just late at night. Admittedly, I've had a long day, finished work and come home, had a beer as usual, and but I think it's maybe getting me because there's two different victory point, two different targets here, if you like, and there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 different hexes. This would break the tiebreakers being closer to, but I'm just wondering, I mean, it looks like it would be that hex, and that's where that unit would move to. It's closer to it, and it's in an empty hex, so when you come down to the tactical adjustments, it's fine with that, but I think it's just making me wonder that if this hex was occupied and another hex was further away from then that spoils the tiebreaker that I've just met. So of course I could be just thinking about this all off, but I posted a wee question there, but I think this video's dragged on a bit and I probably should get to my bed, so yeah, it's probably better to come back with a fresh head. I found that does help. That does help sometimes anyway, and maybe somebody will enlighten me a little bit on my question, or explain to me maybe where my thinking's going wrong with this. Okay, so I know I don't like cutting it in the middle of everything and that, and hopefully I'll keep track of where I am. I'm going to move that cube because I know that we're all 2 from there, and it's this unit we're activating, so yeah, I'll be able to get that back. So I'll leave it for now. I mean, I might come back if I have because when I say it's late at night, it's not that late, it's just I've had a long day, but I might maybe just try and look at the rules. It's probably better leaving it till the morning, and then I'll maybe have a fresh look at it. Okay, so I'll leave it for now, guys. Okay, cheers. Hi all. Right, things went by overnight. Got a couple of replies to my question regarding this. I think I'm overthinking things as usual. Although I do still have a couple of queries. I mean, right, let's find out where we're at to start with. We're moving via method 5. Let's just remind myself as well. And we're looking at this unit because it's the lowest selector number involved. It's just infantry units. Move active infantry unit each to a hex adjacent to an allied VP hex, and then the rest of it is regarding if it was adjacent to VP hex already, so that's irrelevant. So yeah, so we know we can move to St. Vith. We've got multiple choices of hexes, and we've got one hex here. Turns out tiebreakers are going to say that this is closer to the army objective. Now, I think I talked about this last night, and I think maybe here is my question, Martin. You were trying to ask for an example. Well, first of all, before I get to my question, I think I've asked a similar question to this before, and I talked about this last night as well. And Martin, you replied to it. It didn't quite come through clear to me, the answer, I don't think. But what I was saying was, if you can get adjacent to this, and if you can get adjacent to that, but let's just say this one's closer. This one ends up being the tiebreaker, but there's a river there, and I'd be attacking across the river. But there wasn't a river there. but it wasn't the tiebreaker winner. It was further away for the. So my thinking is you still go towards this one because that's what breaks the tie. So I think that's what then puts 9.22 in front of 9.24. If you see what I'm trying to say there, the whole point about attacking across the river isn't relevant until you get to the hex that breaks the ties. So that means the tiebreakers have to happen first, surely, in that situation. I can understand where sometimes they maybe don't have to. But hopefully I've got that thinking right. I think that's right. So that's why I was saying, well, I'm not going to move towards this unit. I'm going to move towards this one because... But here was my other question. Let's just say... well, I suppose this is the same situation. Yeah, what I was trying to say there was if this hex was occupied, but I could reach this hex, but it was going to be further away. But this broke the tiebreakers, right? Because this hex is closer than what these hexes would be to the army objective, this hex here. But, wait a minute. Let's just, oh no, I can't do that. Give me something. Sorry. Right, just to say that that's the situation, right? But me getting to this hex is close to the army objective. So this is a target I want to go to. For instance, let's just say, I know I've not got the movement, but if I could get to this hex, being the empty hex, which is what 9.24 would want me to do. 9.24 would want me to... Well, I would arrive at this situation, and then cause I could get adjacent to the same allied unit, and it would be an empty hex, I would then carry on and move to that situation. I know I've not got the movement to do all that, but let's just say hypothetically, like, that you could do this. By doing that, I would then be the same amount of hexes away from the army objective. So the tiebreaker that I just used to break the tie to say it was this unit is now then not applicable. That was what my question was trying to say. I feel like if it was me, if I was thinking, well, how would that happen? Then maybe yes, maybe I would move here because that was the tie-breaking hex. And then I would adjust by 9.24 and end up in that position. And I think that's how you replied to me. You said that, well, not to me, I think when Russ commented, I think you said that, what was your words were, note that the net effect is pretty much what Russ said. Yeah, you said when you move adjacent, you will always need to consider 9.24. So any adjustments made in 9.22 could quite possibly be cancelled. So I think what I'm just saying there is what you're meaning, that 9.22 draws me to this hex, 9.24 then adjusts me to this hex, therefore cancelling the 9.22 tiebreaker. And that's how you would see it finishing. I think that's what you're saying. That makes some sense to me. I think that this is what I know. You've not seen this video yet, so obviously you couldn't see what I was trying to say. This is what was getting me. What if a further away hex was a better hex under 9.24? What would happen then? So, okay, I'm going to go with that for now, what I've just said. And if one of you see this video, Ross, Martin, John, whatever, just say if that's how you think it would be, okay. Right, let's get back to the move here. And the previous video for last night, I thought I was going to have to mess about with it and that, because I was getting a little bit stressed out at the end of the video, but I look back on it and it maybe wasn't quite as bad as I think. So it's maybe rambling on a bit late at night, so but I'm just going to leave it, guys, so you'll just need to put up with how it is. Just tilting the camera down there because I did notice one little thing that I missed. There was a unit moved out of here. Was the well, the both of the second panzer units moved out, but once the second one moved out, it should be a detachment placed there. Okay, so movement method 5, Allied infantry unit. This is the hex he wants to get to. 1, 2, 3. Detachment goes there because he moved through that hex. We just pause and ponder on that, make sure that I'm right in that. Okay, so we've still got another unit that can move in movement method 5, and it's this infantry unit here. So he's next in line, unit 13. But yeah, he can't get up to Vale Sam. He's not got the movement, but he's got 1, 2, 3 movement. He can get adjacent to this, to St. Vith. So he's going to go 1, 2. That is the only hex he can get to, I think. Yeah, the other stuff's going through the forest. So no real options. 1, 2, 3. Leaves a detachment in this hex. I'm running out of detachment markers, guys. And he's adjacent to. I'm just trying to see as long we're not breaking any. No, there's no restrictions broken yet, so all good. Okay, that's it. Okay, movement method 7. Move adjacent to Allied unit or town. Infantry move adjacent to Allied unit or town to which no non-bracket German infantry unit is adjacent. So this is our last infantry unit. So I'm going to leave that's still the centre of the activation. So he can move 1, 2, we're wanting to get adjacent to this. There's no infantry unit adjacent to this. We can get into this hex, or this hex. Remember, he's no zone of control. This is closest to our army objective, so that's where he's want to go. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we've got these 3 were armoured units, and this second Panzer unit. They're still they're the last active units within 2 of this that I've got to make a move. So, well, we're basically going to move on to 10 to 13 within. So, because there's no infantry left. Right, okay, so 10, are they in order? 4, 6, and then 10, yeah, so they are in order. So first move is going to be movement arrows. They're only going to go, that arrow's only there if that bridge is good, and it's not. So no movement arrows. So we're looking at unit 4 here, obviously. So move closer to army objective, and we're wanting to try and get adjacent. Well, maybe if they go up over this bridge, possibly. I'll have a look. No, they can't go up to here because remember I couldn't reach here. They could go way up here, but that's not going to be closer to their army objective. They've got to keep that in mind as well. So I don't believe there's an allied unit because of the whole bridge situation, because of this bridge being down. So they're still going to get as close as they can to the army objective. So that's a hex that they're looking for. Okay, so you can jump across the river. That's 6. That's going to be 6 away. 5 away, 5 away. But you can go 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4 away. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. Or he can actually reach here, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So I think that's where he's going to get to. Yeah, so unit 4 is going to go 1, 2, right, leaving the attachment there. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to, because he's coming out of there, I'm going to save a detachment. So the detachment in there, and there's a detachment in there. I'm going to have to come up with some other kind of item that I've got a lot of, because I'm just going, I've only got 4 or 5 of them left. Okay, so where are we? Well, unit 6 is going to do the exact same thing, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, yes. So now we've got to jump down to unit 8 before we go back to 10. So movement arrows, well actually there's a possibility here then. Give me a sec. Okay, this guy's gonna make a run for things. So there's a B with his primary arrow, but this is a good bridge. His secondary arrow's up that way. I thought he was going to do that first, but no, he can go in his primary direction for the first hex, and then the primary's into there, so he can't follow that then. Remember, no zone of control, so 1, but then he's going secondary into the square hex for 2. Can't go primary again, but he can go secondary again for, that was 2 movement, that's into broken hex, so that's another 4. Oh, I thought I had counted that right. Hang on. Have I not? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 6 to get in there. So he can't do that then, can he? Oh. Could he do it by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, he actually can do it that way. Does that work though? Maybe. Because the idea is to use up your full movement. It's going to end up in the same hex. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But because he's only spent 4 getting there, he then can't stop. Right, let me just double check the rules for that again. Okay, I'm pretty sure I must have come across this one before, so here's another sort of, I suppose this is another kind of tricky one, because if we work it out to its conclusion, I can go secondary arrow for 2, primary arrow for another 1, that's 3, and then secondary arrow for full movement of 5. But I should really be trying to follow follow the direction indicated by the primary movement arrow in each hex if possible. So, you know, that is possible for me to follow this movement arrow, and I'm not, it's not until I get to here that I'm struggling with my movement. So how does that work? Okay, I'm not sure if that's legal or not. I thought I'd maybe ask some question before regarding that. That's one, maybe we'll check a wee search first. Okay, well, I'm glad I had a wee look at things there. I may have found the answer. John Butterfield replied himself to a question regarding movement arrows. The question was, movement method 10 says we go for secondary arrows if moving in the primary direction would result in movement ending before MPs are expended due to zone of control or terrain cost or going adjacent to the allied unit. Are those the only cases we use secondary arrows, or is it intended to be that we always check whether a move via secondary direction is possible if the move via primary isn't? For instance, if I have a unit that starts on a hex with 2 arrows and cannot go in the primary one, will he start by secondary or go to method 11? Well, I understand that as he would go to the secondary, but it was just John's reply was, a literal reading of method 10 should answer your question. The point is to move the full movement allowance. Do so using primary arrows if possible, otherwise use secondary arrows or a combination of primary and secondary arrows. So that kind of tells you that maybe I can do that if I'm ending up using, as long as I'm using arrows and ending up spending my full movement allowance there, then that is good. But here's the other one that came up, which I didn't think about, and it was a question I had asked. Give me a sec. I'm not going to go over my question, but I was querying the fact that in the player aid, it says under movement method 10, it ends with avoid ending move adjacent to allied unit if possible. And my question was, well, that's not in the rule book. It's got it in the player aid, but it's not in the rulebook, and it was Martin responded to me. But if you read it, hang on a sec till I find it. Yeah, it says if a move in the primary direction would result in the movement ending, 1, before all movement points are expended due to enemy zone of control or high terrain cost, or 2, in a hex adjacent to an enemy unit. So it's got it in there, but it's just worded, and it says, and a move into a hex via secondary movement arrow would not result in either such ending. So, yeah, it is, you can, it wants you to avoid ending adjacent to an allied unit if possible. You know, if you're going to end your movement and you can end it not adjacent to an allied unit, then that's where you'd rather be. So that doesn't help the situation though, because we're still having to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no other way I can do that without falling arrows. And remember, if I do it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's not using my movement up, but I can do it that way and use the movement up. And I know this unit's dispersed, but it doesn't mention that, so it's just an allied unit. That's the reason for it. Oh, hang on though, maybe I think the reason for it is because we're now on extended moves, and it could carry on its movement. Right, but I think it's because if it's starting adjacent to an allied unit. Here we go. Extended move, starting December 17, a unit that is not adjacent to an allied unit upon expending its full movement allowance per method 10. So that's the reason it's wanting to avoid that, so it can then continue moving with extended move. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's zone of control or not. It doesn't mention a unit that's exerting zone of control. So that means that unit won't be able to extend its move, which I thought it would. Yeah, well, I thought that guy was going to move further on, but there you go. Now, hold on here, he's leaving this town, so we need to check that. But if all is good, he can move into this hex, but because he's then adjacent, like I say, I can see nothing that says that the allied unit needs to be exerting zone of control, so it just says not adjacent to an allied unit. So it is going to be adjacent. So let's just double check this town's okay to leave. Okay, let's just have a look at detachments there, because there's a couple of occasions when they do exert a zone of control, but it's only in the supply phase and at the end of the day phase. And in actual fact, at the moment, if I want to trace supply to a hex, I can actually go right through it. So if I wanted to check for allied supply to this hex, I could go 1, 2, you know, I could go through that detachment, I believe. Unfortunately, there's nowhere up there to get allied supply, and coming down here is just as bad. So, yeah, allied supply cannot be traced to that hex. So I think he can freely do this move into here. So it's dangerous for this guy, because he could be getting attacked as well. Right, okay, let's go with that. And like we said, he's moved via movement arrows, but unfortunately he's had to end adjacent to an allied unit, so he can't extend that. So this is the last unit. Will he go up beside his buddies? Because that seemed like it was 4 away, and yeah, even that hex is 5 away. There's no danger of supply being traced by me moving that either, is there? The only good bridge is up here, and we've got a unit adjacent to it. So yeah, I do believe that this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in there as well. This was move closer to army objective, and remember we couldn't reach an allied unit. And there's another detachment marker. Okay, I think that's all the units moved, and they have all moved. So I can take this cube away. So it's only the units that are tilted 45 degrees that are still applicable to do. Well, we're just looking at attacks now because they've all done something else. So 2 possible attack hexes, I believe, here and here. So let's get on with looking at them, because I'd like to finish this on pulse, and I can put part 4, no, part 5, I think, together. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, so first check's going to be here. This is the lead unit. You select a number 2. So we've got a strength of 4, 8. Now we don't count the unit underneath because he's not active. But these are, so 4, 8, 12, and another 4, so 16. 16 to 4. We do not have assault coordination in this as a support card. So 16 to 4, he is in a forest. 16 to 5. But that is it. So 16 to 5 is going to be 3 to 1 odds. So we need to roll for that. Modifiers are going to be attackers include elite, yes. Activated by army card, yes. Support card shows applicable combat tactic. Well, that's a no, because well, like I spoke about, we're all, zoom out there while we get this dice dealt with. We're already getting artillery from that, so we're not going to play the artillery that's in the command support card, sorry. So a -2, and the odds, situational odds are, we're not going to cross river there, no. Situational odds are 3 to 1, -2 on the die roll, so looks like it's a big high roll though. So that takes it down to a 7, cancel if less than 3 to 1, or attacking from 1 hex. So no, they definitely had 16 to 5, 3 to 1 odds, they're attacking from 3 hexes. Okay, so we're going to have a combat. Okay, right, so first off, combat tactic for the attack is infantry infiltration. Probably not going to be any use to them, I don't think. It's just going to give a chip pool. So yeah, they're not attacking from 1 hex, and they're attacking into a town, and they're already flanking anyway, if flanking was an option. Right, add active German reserve units. Well, no, we've only got, there's no active units. That's what it was. I was getting lost the last time. They need to be active units, and you've got to remember that when you activate. Actually, how would that have worked? Yeah, with the army card. Activate reserves units in the same division. Oh, and that's not division, that's a misprint. It's at core. So yeah, we would activate any 58 or 47 core units in the reserve units box. They would have been activated with that card, but there's none. Okay, move on. Play allied combat tactic. We've got 2 reinforced battles. And like we were hoping to maybe consider, we can't do that. Yeah, they can't come down either. So just the only hex I would need to come in from is here, and it's across the river. So can't do that. So let's draw a combat check. Oh well, let's find out the odds, Grant. So whether they say 16 to 4, it's going to jump up to 4 to 1, innit? Let's just double check. 4, 8. And they're both elite units them. So 4, 8. Give me a sec. Yeah, so 4, 8, 12, and an R4 there are 16 against 4. So 4 to 1 odds. Chip pools are all applicable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 for elite, 6. 1 for infantry infiltration, 7, and remember we're getting the artillery from the army card for 8 chip pools. That feels like that's right. Yep. Okay, so 8 chip pools. Yeah, let's see what we get. So yeah, just before we do, this is a really important battle, this one. We're hopefully hoping to hold out with this one, but it's going to be tricky. But we'll see what we get. Okay, here they come. Ouch. That was brutal. 2 attacker elites, 2 41s, exactly on the, exactly on the odds, and a large attack, and we got nothing. And that is devastation. Yeah, that's a big change in the game now. Because we soak up 1 for the town. Okay, hang on. So we've got D5, soak up 1 for the town, 4 hits, and we're 2 steps. So we retreat, and we take a step loss, and we take a step loss, and that's 4 hits. And that's us gone. Ouch. Yeah. Well, that's they're starting to settle in now. we were getting some nice draws early on with the chip pools, and now, and there's a big hole there now with a lot of units to like push through. Oh dear. Right, no hits to them, so let's see about advancing. Okay, so I can get rid of this. Move that along a little bit just now. So unit selector number 2 on top. I mean, he's going into a town, a VP town, so I'm pretty sure that's an auto advance. Right, make a mess of things. Okay, the bottom unit isn't active, so he's auto moving into there. So Germans are gaining 2 victory points, takes them up to 3. Going to gain control of Vilsam. I was thinking back, I was talking about the detachments, not really needing them in the towns if you've got a German, but I think you do. There's a check made. Well, you could get around about it by not doing it, I think, but I think I'd like to find a cube, some kind of cube maybe to take over. Maybe it could be these wee Terraforming Mars ones that I brought out earlier. Maybe use them for detachments, I think, because like I say, I was using using isolated markers, I think, and whatever before, because I run out. So anyway, we'll work that one out once we run out. So that was an automatic advance. Now there's nothing to stop him moving a second hex. There isn't a path of retreat, but the forward arrow is here, and there's nothing to stop him from moving there. So he's going to advance into there, a second hex, and okay, we'd leave a detachment in there. But so unit selector number 3, well, there's 2 3s, but we decided 47 cores lower than 58, of course. So that's an auto move into there as well. We're going to have to roll on that one. It's unit already in the primary direction. Yeah, it's a 1 to 6. Okay, that's probably good for us that he's not advancing. I was going to say, how's unit 1 doing the bottom? But he wasn't active, right? Okay. So the other unit number 3 would be now that's another route, but remember this one. Well, it is. No, it's into a town. It's into a town anyway. So there's already a unit advanced though. So that's a 1 to 3. So that's an 8. So he's not. Unit 4 is the infantry. And again, it's into a town. So it's a 1 to 3 as well. It's a 9. And then the last unit under there is still going to roll because it's into a town. That's a 9 as well. All big high rolls there. So no more. That was a man here. Yeah, so no more advances there. Okay, and I gave them the victory points. Yeah, okay, well that's that. So let's have a look at the other possible attack. Okay, so just the 2 units here in the 1 hex. Selector number 8, so we unit. He's only going to have his buddy, so that's 6 strength against 2. Again, no assault coordination, so it doesn't matter. 6 against 2. He's in the woods. No. So he's dispersed. So he's going to get a -1. So that's 6 against 1. Yeah, so 6 to 1 odds. So this attack's going to go ahead automatically. Because the odds are greater than 4 to 1. So no dice rolling required. Let's draw a combat attack. Reinforced battle. Unlikely, but wait a minute. 1, 2, 1. No, yeah, I think somebody could come down. Hang on. Okay, so I think both these units could come down. This unit can go 1, 2, 3. Jason. Now they need to be from the same army. That's on the condition. So they're both 5th Panzer Army. So that's good. 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, you could go here or here. To be honest. 1, 2, 3. The other one can just go here. But they're going to prefer. Well, I would think they prefer an empty hex. Maybe not. If more than one stack can reach the combat, choose a stack that will not be attacking across the river, then the stack that will cause an unsurrounded defender to become surrounded, then the stack with the lowest numbered unit. So they're not actually considered an empty hex. There's no issues with crossing river, there's no possibility of surrounding them, but this is the lowest numbered unit. So my belief is 1. Let's try to see if we could go in there. So detachment being left there. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the only hex he's going to be able to get to, isn't he? Yeah. And try and remind me that guy can't advance after combat, right? Yeah, please can remind me. Okay, I think that's good. And again, support card, combat tactics, not applicable, not usable because we're already getting artillery from here. So we now have the chance to play a combat tactic. It would be reinforced battle. We cannot reinforce the battle. So let's work out the odds. So the odds are now 6, 10 to 2, so 5 to 1 odds, I think. 10 to 2, 5 to 1 odds. Chip pools are 1, 2, 3. 1 for elites 4. 1 for the reinforced battles 5, and 1 for the artillery on the army card is 6. And yeah, and again there was no reserves, but we've looked at it. But I should look at that because that's something you could kind of miss. Need to look at the reserves more. Okay, let's get 6 chip pools. Oh, not good again. Look at this. These were the first 2 chits I pulled. 4 to 1 and 5 to 1. Come on. And then this was the third one. Dispersed unsupplied. Yeah, 1.5 to 1. This was our only sort of good one was the he's in the woods. And also look at this. If he hadn't reinforced the battle, he would have been a 1 hex attack. But he's not, so that doesn't apply. Obviously, the other side was flank attack. He's not flanking, so yeah, not good again. I think we're going. Are we? Let me see. Okay, 3 hits to us. Yeah, and just a reminder there. I was talking about combat tactics. I'm dispersed. I couldn't have played combat tactics if I'd wanted to. Also, it says if all defending units start dispersed, the attacker may disregard 1 attacker hit, and the defender may not use combat tactics. So yeah, he gets to disregard another one, but he's cancelled it. He's hit out with the dispersed unsupplied anyway. And also, unit stacked with a dispersed unit may retreat only 1 hex. So he can only retreat 1 hex. Can't do a 2 hex retreat. But it wouldn't matter. He's toast. He's not got an IP. He's not in a town. He's going to retreat once for 1 hit and then take a step loss because he can't retreat anymore. In fact, that would leave 1 unfulfilled hit that time, I believe. But it didn't matter to the Germans because they're taking no hits, but we need to remember that rule too. Okay, 2 more units been put in the eliminated units box, so I'm going to chuck them in the cup and give the Germans another victory point. They're up to 4. We'll clear things up here and see about advance after combat. Right, so advance after combat, what was it you were to remind me, guys? Yeah, this guy can't advance. I think he's the only one that would have wanted to advance because he's got a primary arrow there, and these guys have nothing. So this is an other. Now, hang on, Grant, though. Yeah, his army objectives there. So they would not be closer to their army objective, which I'm annoyed I forgot about that at first. Hopefully there was nothing, but I might have missed one. I just feel like I might, because I didn't read it. So they're not going to advance into there. They're just going to sit tight. So that's that. So all units had a move. That's all the attacks over. That's their impulse done. So I'm going to quickly tidy things up there. Okay, so that's that Allied impulse, German impulse over. So we've still got the card in the support card box. So it comes on in the German command card box. I'll not flip the camera down. I'll just bring the card out here because it's going to be reasonably straightforward. Well, we've got decisions to make, but the special event, as Eisenhower hesitates, it's on the 17th, that's where we are. Eisenhower hesitates, says, delay all units of the 82nd or 101st Airborne Division, your choice, by 1 day. Move the units to the December the 19th space of the calendar. So, it's my choice to delay one of the divisions. I have no idea what ones are the better. I think they're both elite, aren't they? That is my choice, right? Okay, I'll just have a wee think about it and see what I think's best. Okay, so yeah, I brought the units down. There's nothing between them, is there? They're both the same. Yeah, even the reductions I think are. That drops from a 2 to a 2. Oh, so does that. So it looks like they're both the same. They're obviously paratroop units. So I suppose what we've got to look at is the bigger picture and think, because the 82nd, which are 18 Corps, are deployed north of this line, and the 8 Corps units are deployed south of this line. So where do we feel like, and they're strategic units, so you are going to deploy them. I think it's a bit of a coin flip, isn't it, really? For me it is. Maybe some of these guys would think, no, I would have them rather than them, but well, you still get, that's a point. Yeah, here's the big thing. There's 30 core units that come in, which are part of 18 core on the 18th. These are the only 8 core units that come in on the 18th. So that could be relevant. That probably means we want to delay the 82nd then. I mean, the 82nd, it's north of this line, and look at all the stuff we've got here that we'll... And the 8 cores south of this line, which is... Oh dear. That's not good at all, is it? Part of me feels like I want to have the 18 core units, because I'm going to get to deploy. There's another 3 of the 30 core units are 3. These guys are a division of, these are the sort of special divisions that have got 4 units. So that would be 7 units I'd be deploying of the 18 core if I kept these guys available. And from here north looks like most of the trouble area. I mean, if you look, yes, we've got Bastogne. We're going to chuck that unit down there. That's our next move. But yes, we have Bastogne. But up here, you've got Manhay, Haughton, La Roche, and all these units. And we're more likely to be able to deploy the 18 core units up there. So it's a bit controversial maybe, but yeah, that's maybe not the right thing, is it, Grant? Hang on. That's a horrible choice, because these are strategic reserves and the 30 core units are not. So the 30 core units are going to have to deploy within 3 of one of these units, whereas strategic deployment lets me deploy them further west. So, but then it means I don't have these guys. Oh dear. Okay, I've made my decision. We've got the 12 core units. There's only 3 of them, but there's another 2 of them coming in tomorrow as well. So although they only deploy down the very south of the map here, I'm hoping, are any of them strategic? Well, some of them are going to be 16th, dated 16th. Oh yeah, and the other ones are strategic. Oh, that's good then. So we'll be able to move, hopefully deploy them further along, and they'll be able to support. So we're going to delay the 101st. Are we? Yeah, we're going to delay the 101st. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's all that done. Now, the Germans only have 5 more cards. So what did they start at? They had 9, didn't they? So they've only got 5 now. We still have 2 cards left. And obviously our next impulse is going to be straightforward. It's going to be moved to... But I need to cut this video because it's, as usual, went on too long. And I want to stop here and cut this one and join it on and upload this. Probably might mean that the last part is going to be a bit shorter, the last part of the 17th, because we've not got much more to do and the Germans are running out of cards too, but nah, that'll not be an issue. Okay, so going to leave things for now, guys. Let me know all the questions asked there, and maybe you can tell me what you think about the couple of things that cropped up, and I'll see you for the next Allied Impulse soon. Okay, cheers. Hi all. Right, I'm going to make a wee video here regarding a mistake that I made, which I played out, a combat I played out, movement in a combat. Yeah, starting to catch me again. Started off not too bad, and now it's starting to miss little ones. Now there's not been another combat yet, so I'm hoping I can rewind this and make it work. Now, what it was a combat in this hex here. That unit was reduced, he was dispersed. This unit was up here. I'll just put him out of the picture. I know where he is. I don't want to show you the. I have moved something else. I didn't want to. I want to try and avoid spoiling that. It's maybe not a big deal, but so, and it was a movement in this armoured unit from the town, and long there a little bit. And I spoke about the movement of it. If you remember, it was quite a decision to make regarding the arrow movement, and going this way it was only spending 4 movements, so I couldn't do it that way, but then I went via secondary arrows and ended up being able to spend 5. And I decided, going by what John Butterfield's response to that question was at the time, that you just use a combination of any, and if you can make it happen, you make it happen. But if I've got that wrong, let me know with that one, obviously. If you think that because it should have went via the primary arrow, that it would have ended there only with 4, and then it shouldn't have moved at all with arrows and moved on to the next movement method. But I decided that it was going to be able to do that, make that move. And obviously it couldn't extend its move because it was adjacent to an allied unit, which was unavoidable. So, and then I talked about the fact that I needed to watch for the restrictions, and because I was moving out of town, I needed to be able to check that. And I talked about being able to go through detachments, so if ally supply could be traced 1, 2, but it can't get through there. And then I looked down here. Yeah, it wouldn't matter anyway. I'm just wondering if it was a detachment there at the time. Or was it him that placed the detachment? Give me a second. No, it clearly wasn't him that placed the detachment, because he went up and around rather than through that way. So yeah, the detachment was there. So yeah, I talked about possibly tracing down here, but this German unit's down here. That just on the camera, so they can't trace ally supply down there. But they can go 1, 2, 3, 4 onto the road here, and then this road leads off. So completely missed that. So that unit wouldn't have been able to move with movement arrows. Probably not be able to move at all. Although in saying that, yeah, he might actually still move and maybe just move into there. And that obviously blocks that supply issue as well. Okay, this might be better than I thought then, because that would keep the odds the same. I didn't think he was getting involved with the combat. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I think this could make this fix better, like I said. So, next move is move closer to army objective. Wants to try and get adjacent to an allied unit if he can. So, he can actually move into this hex, or this hex. He could go 1 and another 4 in there. Remember, no zone of control for that unit. So he's got 3 possible hexes adjacent to this unit. There would be the 3-to-1 odds. Not that that's really relevant, because they're the only hexes that he could move, and he'd still be keeping this town unsupplyable to the allies, and either one of the hexes. So, and then tiebreakers are nearest units army objective. Right, hang on a minute. Well, was it in Hoofley? I'm just wondering. I think it's moved, hasn't it? Yeah, I think it was still in Houffali's, and the next movement, the next impulse I made has moved it. So spoiler alert there. But it's the same. It's basically the same. This would be the closer hex. So I think in actual fact he would have been able to move to there. Okay. Yeah, so that is good because I thought we were going to have a one hex attack. And that would have meant the odds, the chances of that battle not going ahead would have been less. I thought it was only going to be this unit, so now we've got the odds back as well. So now, Allied supply cannot be traced to this town. Yeah, that's right. Good, good. Okay, so we then got that situation. We then checked for the attack, and the odds were, well, it's 6 against 2, but this guy's dispersed, so he gets a -1, so it's 6 against 1, so the attack definitely goes ahead. And sorry, this was the card that was activating this. So the attacks went ahead. He drew the combat tactic. This is a combat tactic he drew and it was reinforced battle. And then we brought the unit that I've just shoved down. He would be the same unit now. Would he still? I think it's the only hex he could go to was this hex. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Yeah, it is. To get into the battle, the only hex that unit could went to was into there. So then I couldn't put a combat tactic anyway. I tried to talk about it, but then I think I reminded you later that I couldn't have drawn one because of being dispersed as well. And also remember, well, nothing's going to come of that. They can ignore a hit, can't they, if I'm dispersed, yeah. So then we drew the chits. Now this is where I thought I was going to have a problem because I didn't think there was going to be the same amount of chits drawn, but because that unit was able to get in the battle, the same amount of chits were drawn. The odds haven't changed, so the result is going to be exactly the same. And this is where it's become easier because this unit joined, because if that unit hadn't moved across and joined the battle, I wouldn't have had 5-1 odds. Sorry, we had 6 chip pools. It was 5-1, wasn't it? It was 3, 6, 10 against 2. So yeah, so we had 5-1 and it was 6 chip pools. But I actually thought because of that unit not joining, we would only have 3-1 odds, and we would only had 5 chip pools. So this chip wouldn't have counted, which was benefiting us. But also these 2 chits wouldn't have counted because they only had 3-1 odds. So, and then I thought if it's only a 1 hex attack, that would have, oh no, that wouldn't have, because the unit was still coming down to reinforce. So that, yeah, that still would have been. But if that had happened, the result would have only been D2. So I think the unit and my unit would have survived. So, but it is going to be the same. They came across, exact same chip pool, exact same result. The only thing being, so this unit was eliminated, and then they got their victory point, which I've not taken off, so I'll not add back. So that was right. Yeah, nothing changed with the chits, and that's good. And like I said, no, there hadn't been another combat, so it's not I'm messing about with chits. So I just drew them back out of the cup. I found them and drew them back out. So that would have been away. So the only thing that could maybe have changed would have been the advance. So let me just check. Okay, yeah, so there could have been a slight difference. Remember, this unit I'd reinforced the battle, and I got you to remind me that we couldn't advance, and you did, you reminded me. That was good. So, but because this unit was here as well, now that's a primary advance route, so that would be an automatic advance into there. Now, can he do that? I think he can actually, because the restrictions in 9.21, which was the one that we broke initially, about do not move out a unit out of a town, if it would leave it empty and ally supply could be traceable to it. So these apply for advance after combat as well. So if I was to advance into there, however, I think we're still okay, aren't we? Because ally supply cannot be traceable to that hex, because it was getting down here. If, however, I was then to... Oh, no, because we've got that unit there now. Yeah, we've got that unit there. But he obviously came down later. So this unit could actually do a second advance then, and not have to worry about breaking that restriction. So again, he's looking... Now, if you'll notice there's a 5 and a 7 here. That means, I maybe spoke about it before, that arrow exists only for 5th Panzer Army units, and that arrow exists only for 7th Panzer Army units. I think that's right. Yeah, that was exactly right. So there's no path of retreat, but he wants to go along the primary arrow, so that's his primary arrow. So he's actually getting to advance into there. Another hex closer to the Bastogne, so yeah, and this situation here, that although this town's empty, ally supply cannot still be traced to that town. So I think that's it. I think we've fixed it. What I'm going to do is, I've got two video cuts, and I'm going to put this in the middle of the two, hopefully, and hopefully make a wee comment about this, because you're still going to see this combat as I done it initially. I can't really do anything about that. It would be too much to cut out all that. Or could I do that? Well, you know what, since I've talked about it now, well, what I could maybe do is maybe right after the combat, I could maybe slip this bit of video into there. So I'll see if I can do that. If it's not too much trouble, then I'll do that, and then you'll see the combat as it shouldn't have been, and then the combat as it should have been. Not much of a difference, but like I say, I do like to try and get these things right, and if I can catch the mistakes and fix them, I want to do that at all costs if I can, you know. Okay guys, I'll leave it for now. Might get back this evening to another bit more recording, but there should be a couple of bits coming back up soon. But okay, cheers for now.